Okay, I wanted to bring a quick little video here. I've got a vehicle from another shop. It's a 2012 Malibu 2.4, and the issue was they had a bunch of codes and they diagnosed it as being a bad computer. And there's what the computer looks like, the original and the new to the vehicle, a used one. And just for reference, on most of these later model GMs, it'll give you the part number and the VIN. I'm not sure if that's the VIN, but it has a part number right there, that service number. And then over here it says E37. That's the type of computer. So when you're looking it up, when I come up here to my programmer software, and I go under GM Opel ECM for engine control, or ECU, engine control unit. You click on there and you come down here to E37. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. E37. You click on that, and it'll open up and change the software for that. And that's my latest programmer. It's called IO Prog. Up here it's called IO Terminal for the software. And so you have to hook up the powers and grounds and the network, which is, this has got a CAN. So I pull a wiring schematic and it shows you the pin numbers of the different. That's ignition feed, battery feed. It's got, where's my serial data bus, which is CAN network, plus and minus, which is actually CAN high and low. And then it also has another ignition right there. And you'll see that says X2, I believe. Oh, X1, I'm sorry. X1. And then on the other page, it'll also have X2, which is the ground. The only thing on X2 is the ground. So you'll see right here, it says J1 and J2, which is the same, X1 and X2. So you know this is number 1 and this is number 2, because if you look at the pins, that's number 2 and that's number 1. They're all identical. So you also have to pull a pin out to see how the pins are numbered. You'll see they go from 1 to 16, 17 to 32, and then 33 to 52, 53 to 72, and that big one on the left there is pin 73. And on connection 2, that's the ground, and on connection 1, that's a battery feed. And then you have your ignition feeds here. But the thing I wanted to show you was, see, 73 is all the way on the left on the top on this end, but actually on the connector it's on the left and on the bottom, because it's inverted, because we're looking at the connector. So when you find pin 1, it's not the upper right hand corner. Pin 1 is actually the lower right hand corner. So you have to be careful, especially like right here, these battery feeds. It's the 3rd and 4th on the top, which is actually I think it's 36, 43 and 44. So you have to count out from this side, because this is, well, you count over from this side, but anyhow, you gotta use your pin number 1 as a reference, or that's number 73 as a reference, so you don't get messed up. So actually it was 19 and 20. because we're at 17 here. See, I'm already getting mixed up, but it's 17, 18, 19, and 20, because it's on the same side as the 73. See, the 73 is on the top. There's a divider going across. There's 2 rows and then a divider. This divider right here. So it is really easy to get mixed up. So what we'll do is we'll come over here and you'll see down there, hopefully you can see that it says application installed, and I'm going to click on this connect, and it should communicate, and there it goes. It's doing its communication, and then it'll come up and say waiting for commands. Device waiting for commands. So then we'll come over here and we will read the EEPROM data, and you'll see that goes pretty fast. It's already read the data, and if I come up here to memory dump, it shows me exactly what the data is on that EEPROM, and you'll see that, oh, this is actually all the way on the bottom, so I gotta scroll back up. You'll see all the data as you scroll down. Most of it's at the top there. Oops, I'm trying to see right here, this 1G, 1A, and then it's 3534. That's the VIN number that was in the used module. That's the VIN that's currently in there. So we can come over here and click on this open file, and then we can click on, I've got the EEPROM, and it says original and donor, so I can click on that, which is the original, which is the one that was in the car, and hit open. And then we could come up here and see if we can find our VIN. See this 5590? It starts with a 1G right here, 1G, 1Z. That's the VIN from our original vehicle, 1G, and it ends with a 8590. So I know that has read all that data. And then what we would do is come back here and then hit write, which I've already done this job. So once you hit write, it will write all that data to this used ECM. And then we can do the same thing for the flash. Now the EEPROM data, that's your VIN and your key codes and your anti-theft information. The flash is actually, let's just go ahead and read it. It takes a lot longer to read, but that's actually the program that runs the engine. That's the latest update software that actually runs the vehicle. And I actually found a interesting thing. Like I said, I've already done this job. I'm just doing the video to show how it's done. When I got done with this job, and I always check for codes and save the codes before I do a job, and then after I'm done programming, I check the codes again. And this is such a perfect clone. All the same codes were in the module that were in the original one, and I'm like, whoa, usually with programming it erases the codes, but it actually saved the memory of the codes and everything. So I had to go back and clear all the codes, and then of course everything was okay because it was a computer issue. But I just thought it was interesting. It's almost done. We'll wait a couple seconds here, and I'll show you what the flash data looks a lot different than the EEPROM data, because the EEPROM, it's why it reads it so fast, and even when it writes it, it's a lot longer to write all the flash. This is the whole program. So if you got a used computer out of a different car, like GM, sometimes they use the same computer for the 4-cylinder, the 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder. I was really surprised. Most manufacturers have separate computers for the different size engines. They may use the same one for their 6-cylinders, but they use a different one. So GM, through their software, it determines what the pins are. So usually the powers and grounds and the networks are the same, but on the V8, of course, it has 8 cylinders, so there'd be 8 coils and 8 fuel injectors. But on a 4-cylinder, one of those pins that it used for the coil firing on the V8, it may be used for something totally different on the 4-cylinder, and GM does that through their software. So let's see, does that say, okay, it says waiting for command, so it's done reading. So we'll go up here to the memory dump so we can look at it. Let me scroll up here, and you can just see all the different data. And if you were into programming and tuning, you could actually go in there and change all these data PIDs to, of course, you'd have to know what each line represented it, and then you could easily go ahead and change that, which I don't do the tuning part of it. I just, because of the federal emissions and me being a licensed shop, I can't change unless GM came out with a file, or the manufacturer. That's the only files that I use. Although interestingly, if this was somebody had tuned it, originally, it would put the same thing back in there, which I have no way of knowing, but I don't purposely go through and tune and mess with the fuel maps and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought it was interesting. The other thing I meant to mention is the reason the shop couldn't program this is because this is a 2012, and starting right about 2012 and up between 2012 and 2015, most all your manufacturers by 2015 had made it where you cannot change the VIN. Once it's programmed in, you could go through and with their factory scan tools and programmers, you can change the software and update that as they come out with updates, but you can't change the VIN. So this used computer, if I use the GM factory software and my programmer, which I have availability to do that, it won't let me change the VIN. So the anti-theft will not let the car start because it's showing the wrong VIN. So with this cloning the computer, I can bypass that, and I can go through, and I also got a different program that when we go back to the EEPROM, say this original computer was damaged and I can't get the original information off of it, I can go to my it's called a hex editor, and I can go in and program the original VIN in there and then rewrite the EEPROM, so I can still get around it. But it's just interesting that all the little things you have to do, and the manufacturers are continuing to upgrade to where it's making it harder and more expensive for us to be able to do this, but it is still available. And the bad part is a lot of these modules, like this is an engine module, and they're still available rebuilt. But if you had like a air suspension module for your active suspension, or you had a ABS module, or even an instrument cluster, some of those things aren't available on the market, especially if it's not a real popular car and you have no other recourse but to go used. And then just about all these modules, even your radio on these newer cars from 2015 up, have the VIN programmed in to prevent theft, so you can't just change them out with a used one using normal means. So Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.